is with us. And on Friday evening, we had a beautiful talk describing Swamiji's wonderful Om Hrim Ritam Stotram. Today, Revered Maharaj will speak on Sadhana. What is Sadhana? So those who could not come on Friday, for them, just to introduce Maharaj, Revered Maharaj joined our holy order in the year 1976 and got his final vows of sannyasa in 1986 from the 11th president of our order, Srimad Swami Gambhiranandji Maharaj. Maharaj had worked in our Nagpur ashrama for about 20 years, after which he was the head of our center at Shillong in Meghalaya. In the year 2001, Maharaj was posted to Providence. So now I request Maharaj to kindly start his talk.
My salutations to Thakur Ma Swamiji, and we shall begin discussing this very important subject because we are spiritual aspirants, sadhakas, and we should be, because that is the way we can gradually reach the goal of life. It is without spiritual practice, this is not possible. Although we are divine potentially, there has to be the effort to express or manifest reality. And that is called sadhana. Long back, or let us put it like that, since long back I have been studying this book, and many of you must have studied Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga by Swami Sardhananda, and English translation Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play, or the previous version by Swami Yogatmananda, Sri Ramakrishna, the great master. It very beautifully describes the need and the process and the meaning of sadhana. And I will mostly today read from this. Let me tell you one wonderful Swami who used to be in Nagpur. He founded the center at Nagpur, Swami Bhaskareshwarananda. So he always would like to discuss this part, Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga, especially Sri Ramakrishna is manifesting the ideal as a spiritual aspirant. God assumes a human form. This is why what I heard from many, or Mr. Patelji is here, who has met that Swami Bhaskareshwarananda. After taking up some Upanishads or such classes, he would immediately say, let us study Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga. Because in this book, there is the wonderful exemplification where you see the demonstrations of this practice in principle as well as in practice. So therefore, he would turn to this book, let us study Leela Prasanga. So, and I will take up this book, that particular part from this voluminous. Don't get scared. I am not going to read the whole book right now. Huh? It is, because you are seeing the size of the book, so you may wonder, do we have to sit here whole night? No, no such thought. Although it may take some time before we could even read or finish reading some of the very salient features here of sadhana. So, there is, in the beginning of this volume, there is the very important discussion on what is the meaning of sadhana and why do we need to do it. Because, and Swami Sardananda has told the necessity of this. He first emphasizes that in the previous olden incarnations of God, the aspects of this spiritual practice or sadhana by those incarnations of God have been suppressed. They are not allowed to reach the readers or people with the thought that, well, that is God. Why should a God do the sadhana? And so we are given, you don't find the account of what sadhana Bhagwan Ramchandra did. As God, he just manifested that divine, and so where is the need for giving the sadhana? He didn't need to do any sadhana, because when you see that they have done sadhana, means they come to the human level like they were imperfect, and then after practicing spiritual disciplines, they became perfected. But with incarnations of God, they do not want to associate that idea. And so, Swami Sardananda has given various instances because of which he concludes that those ideas of God incarnation showing sadhana have not been emphasized, and that's for sure. And that also points out to our human weakness, that and we think of God, we become kind of devotees, and what we do, we put the God in a nice, like beautiful shrine. In a nice shrine, we will put that and tell, no, you remain there, we will offer these bhoga and arati and all that. And that's it. You are God, we are human beings. We will follow as we do. We will, and you just keep on blessing us so that no calamity ever falls on us. And so we will be doing that worship. Common understanding and common practice of religion just hovers around that. There is hardly the intention to change our life in the light of how the incarnation of God lived. What is the purpose of God incarnating as a that, and so they do the sadhana. But we, as Lord Krishna explains, that we either do one of the two stupid things. First, we sometimes think that he is just a man like us, and so we miss the point that God appearing as human being. It is a very beautiful incident, that happened many years ago. There was one lady who came with her little daughter, about 6, 7 years old, and then said that this girl has a question to you. And then that girl held me by a hand and took me to the chapel, the old chapel that we used to have. And then there were all the chairs, wooden chairs there. And then she pointed out to the photograph of Sri Ramakrishna and asked, "Tell me, is he God or is he man?" Now, although she was a little girl, this question can come to anybody. Is he God or is he man? I pointed that chair to her. Look at that chair. Is it a chair or is it wood? And that brilliant little girl said, got it. That it is both man as well as God. Just as it is chair as well as wood. It is shaped as chair. Functionally it is a chair. But actually it is wood. Its woodness hasn't gone away by becoming chair. So that is the God appearing in human form. By appearing in human form, the Godness hasn't gone, but a new functionality has appeared there. That now we can learn from that. It is our human compulsion. Our compulsion is that we can learn from human beings. Therefore, in our schools, you don't see any cow applying for the job of a teacher. It is only human beings, they are appointed as teachers. You can learn from anybody a little bit here and there, but the job of teacher for human beings is for other human beings. So God also, therefore, to teach us, has to take a human form. But if we forget that form, what happens is we cannot learn. Just God, you remain there in the shrine. We will just prostrate before you, and you keep on showering your blessings in the form that may my bank balance increase, and may, that I may not have any disease, that it is keep me and my family safe, kill my enemies as fast as you can. So some such prayers that we do. It is, we do not see the principle. Lord Krishna says that, look, that they think of me as a human being or they think me as God. And we have to see both these aspects. Either the mistake on this side, that he is a human being, what can we learn? That from the fellow Krishna has no other work, run after the cows and play flute and many other things. So a human being, may have killed some demons here and there, had some capabilities, but nothing more than that is thought about. Or you think of him as God. Okay, build a big Krishna temple. Install a beautiful marble or gold image of Krishna there. And prepare what is called there in some Krishna, that Chappan Bhog, So offer that. Thousands of people will be coming to see that. And then human aspect is completely hid. It is both these aspects have to be seen together. That is the purpose of God incarnating as human being. Take up the same analogy that I was giving, the chair of wood. Now certainly wood aspect has to be kept in mind that it is made of wood. It will burn if you put fire to it. It has all the qualities of wood still intact. But it has the purpose there that it is chair for you to sit on it. That sitting aspect or the functional aspect, its shape, all that also carries equal importance. So, God as human being. Shankaracharya explains that why God takes human being at shape of a human being, because bhutanu jigrikshaya swaprayojana abhave api, in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, this his commentary, a very beautiful passage. In fact, many of the senior Swamis, they have mentioned that that is the best explanation of the principle of God incarnating as human being, given in the introductory commentary by Shankaracharya, that Dehavan iva, Jata iva, Lokanugruha kurvan iva cha lakshate, that as if born, not really born, but as if born, as if he is showering compassion over people. But the main idea is so that we learn by looking at that demonstration. So Swami Saradananda has in this beautiful, very unique spiritual biography of Sri Ramakrishna, has one full volume, Sri Ramakrishna as Sadhaka, a spiritual aspirant, Sadhak Bhava, which is a very special and important thing to study, so that we can shape our spiritual practices accordingly, as God has done. It is, don't think, oh, he was after all God, how can we do like that? Once in Belur Math, one senior Swami was telling that, look, how Sri Ramakrishna did. And I was fool enough to open my mouth and said, oh, but he was God, how can we do that? He was saying that, why have you come here? To follow Sri Ramakrishna or to follow some, criminals and such people? You have come to follow Sri Ramakrishna. So as much as you can do, it is, you have to do as much as you can do. Put in all efforts. And then still you will not be able to do as Sri Ramakrishna did, but he has shown the ideal. And we have to follow that. And so, this is what we will read here, that there are these, especially these 3-4 chapters in the beginning, which detail the our ideas about sadhana. And Swami Sardhananda, in the first chapter, that spiritual aspirant and spiritual discipline in this volume says that if we want to understand Sri Ramakrishna as a spiritual aspirant, Sri Ramakrishna was a spiritual aspirant. He was God as spiritual aspirant, God as Guru, God in his full manifestation, what is called here as Divya Bhav. He acted, so therefore it is a Leela. The Leela meaning is that it is like play, acting. So it is Sri Ramakrishna in the play like a child. He was not a child, he acted as a child. He was not a spiritual aspirant, but acted as a spiritual aspirant. Acted as a guru, and so forth. So it is therefore Leela. So Sri Ramakrishna as spiritual aspirant, we must first understand what sadhana, spiritual discipline is. Some readers may comment that the people of India are always practicing sadhana in some form of or other. Why then are we making this book longer by raising this topic? From time immemorial, Indians have spent most of their the energy in this quest for the direct experience of spiritual truths. Is there any other country where we find all these things done? So this is, we know it, we already know why you are spending time. But Swami Sardhananda says that still there is need to properly understand what spiritual discipline or sadhana is. So he continues in the next paragraph, although what has been said above is true, it is still necessary to discuss sadhana because many people have strange ideas about it, losing sight of the goal. It is losing sight of the goal of sadhana. Some people consider it to be mere physical mortification, and which happens a lot. People do a lot of fastings or some such things. That is it sadhana? If it is taking you towards the goal, then it could be sadhana. Otherwise, just practicing, torturing your body, how can that be called sadhana? So, not eating for 2 days, 3 days, it may be some saving some food, or it may have some health benefits, who knows. But certainly that is, how can it be called sadhana if it does not push you towards the goal of life? So he says, forgetting, losing sight of the goal of sadhana, some people consider it to be mere physical mortification or the performance of rituals that require them to collect rare objects in a particular place, or control of breath, or even strange activity of deranged minds. It pass on as sadhana. Oh, I do pranayama, and so I am doing sadhana. I have nothing against doing pranayama, but is it spiritual practice or not? That depends on not the action of pranayama or breathing exercises, but whether that is making you move towards the goal or not. If it is taking you towards the goal, then it is sadhana. Doing lot of rituals, performing sacrifices, and spending time with puja, bringing lot of ingredients from here, there, and displaying that to people. Look, this thing I got right from Gangotri. This is the water from the Kumbh Mela. This is something from the temple at there in what is that, Cambodia? What is that place? Angkor Wat. This is what I got from Angkor Wat. So they would have the waters of all rivers put there, as if it is spiritual practice. Is that spiritual practice or not? So that remains to be seen. This I keep all these articles. We have the nice lamp made of gold, and so see how much effort we put in spiritual practice. I sit in the morning and evening 2 hours. I do meditation. But does it mean that you are progressing in spiritual life? Then meditation is a spiritual practice. Otherwise, even meditation may not be spiritual practice. So here certain basic questions of spiritual practice have been discussed. I love this chapter, so I keep on reading it again and again. So I am not going in the details of what he has described as wrong assumptions. Like Ranganathananji has given nice example. People say we are devotees. We are devotees of Lord Krishna. See, I have a copy of Bhagavad Gita coming to me for the last 4 generations. So this is very sacred. I keep it in the shrine and worship it. He says that they will be worshipping Bhagavad Gita book like that, would never open and read and try to understand the great message of Sri Krishna. It is the copy will, by applying that sandal paste and water and all, the book will get spoiled. But it is no effort to read and get that life-giving message. So therefore, one must understand what we do, various actions, and then those actions, are they sadhana or not? What is the important principle? So he raises one question. Why do we not perceive the Brahman? That the Brahman or God is all-pervading. Now the question is that we want to perform the spiritual practice so that we can experience that God all-pervading. But question is, why do I not perceive it? Try to find the cause. Like the simple, if you have some medical problem, you diagnose, what is the cause behind it, and then remove that cause and you become healthy. So why are we not able to see the all-pervading reality? God is everywhere. Why am I not able to see that? You know the very wonderful story of Prahlada, that Hiranyakashipu, his father, tried to kill him in various ways and made him stop, first saying the name of God. There is no God but me. That Hiranyakashipu kept on telling everybody, there is no other God. But his son was so devoted, so he could not stop his son from uttering the name of Narayana with great love. Oh, and he was seeing Narayana, Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu was not seeing. So he asked, where is your Narayana? After all the attempts failed, he asked, where is your Narayana? Let me see. I will tackle that fellow here. So that because I could not really eliminate you, I will eliminate that Narayana. So Prahlad now is seeing Narayana everywhere. So he said, well, you are asking me where he is. Tell me where he is not. He is everywhere. So, being everywhere, now, Hiranyakashipu says, what do you mean everywhere? Is he in this pillar? There were pillars in the hall. Well, when I mentioned everywhere, pillar is included. If you want to see through the pillar, you can see through the pillar. You know what happened then. So it is God everywhere, but we do not see that. We question God. We are so superficial in our understanding that we recognize the existence of waves, but we do not see the existence of the ocean on which these waves are rising. The waves, yes, I see the waves are. Ocean, where is it? Because wherever you point, this is ocean, there will be some wave, isn't it? So you may say, no, ocean doesn't exist. Why am I not able to see the ocean? It is, you have to ask yourself, why not? And so Sardanandaji, before describing the principles of sadhana, takes up this, that why do we not perceive that all is Brahman? It is described, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. The Upanishads describe that everything is Brahman. Now, the question is, why do we not see the Brahman? If that Brahman is there everywhere, then let me see, why am I not seeing? Come on, find out. So, the question, and this question comes to almost everybody, that if God is real, why do I not see that God? And there is a method for seeing anything. There I was giving the example in Austin, that we do not see the worms in yogurt. Are they there or not? Yeah, if you take a microscope and see, you will see all of them. I don't advise seeing, because then you will not like to eat yogurt. But it is there. If you use the proper instrument, you can see it. So you can see the Brahman if you use proper instrumentation. And to acquire that instrumentation, that is this sadhana. Acquire means it is right. Actually, you have to just purify that instrument. You have the instrument mind. That mind just needs to be purified. Sardananda says, you are deluded. Until your delusion is dispelled, how can you detect it? We recognize our delusions only by comparing our perceptions with real objects or states. You need to have a basis for comparison in order to discover that delusion. This world that we see, which we consider as real, is it real? It comes and goes. How can you call it real? Like in the dream, you see many things. Are they real? While dreaming, they appear to be real, no doubt. But later on, they are no more there. So also the things in the waking state, they become unreal when we are dreaming. The objects of dream, they become unreal when we are awake. And the objects of waking state, they become unreal when we are dreaming. Very funny. So this is how you find the common idea in deciding whether something is real or not real is impermanence, which has been the term that is tremendously used in the Buddhistic thought, right from Buddha himself, that everything is impermanent, that we can easily understand, and because it is impermanent, it is classed as unreal. Because what is real, as soon as you point, it changes. So it is not real. So in Bhagavad Gita also, nasate nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah, ubhayoropi antastvam, that anayos tattvadarshibhi, those who are tattvadarshi, means those who see the truth, they see that that which is never becomes is not. And then that which is not, even though you are seeing it, it never becomes is. Like you see many hallucinations, you see magic show. It is real or not? Not real. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, magician alone is real. All the magic just goes away. And there is a very beautiful incident, means it is maybe anecdotal, that one king, not king of olden days, these in India, those who had those kingdoms under the patronship of British rulers. So, but they were well-to-do and wealthy, these things, monarchs. So, they, one of them heard of a wonderful magician, and he invited him to perform and told him, you know, I want to see that First World War. First World War, because some of our soldiers from here, they went to fight and they died. So even one of my close relatives died there. So I didn't see the war, but can you recreate it for me? That World War? And the magician said, well, yes, but I will require a month-long time for that. And after a month-long time given to him, he said, okay, I am ready. And there was the camera, movie camera had already come there. You know, some movies from those 1930s and all, they were there. So there was a movie camera. So king said, can I take the video of the whole show so that I can watch it again and again? The magician said, you can, but it will not have the desired, you won't have the use of it. You can, I have no objection. The king said, okay, I will photograph everything. Now the magic show began. All that fighting and all that was being shown, people were getting so excited. And then for 1 hour it went on. And then everybody saw, wow, very good, wonderful. And then they looked at the camera, but the film did not record anything. The film had only one picture, that the magician was sitting there. Ah, because while people were mesmerized, they got the effect of the magician's hypnotism. But the camera was not hypnotized. So the camera only was seeing what is actually there. The magician alone, that what Sri Ramakrishna used to say, magician alone is real. This world is his magic. It is not real. So we get deluded, and thus we do not see the all-pervading Brahman. So one has to therefore make certain efforts, certain changes in the right direction to be able to see this truth. So he continues for another question. What is the cause of this delusion? Often this question all spiritual aspirants ask in different forms. In Austin, a question had been asked to me like that, not during the class, but while I was taking lunch. One lady said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "That's a question." But no, another question. So it is, yeah. So she said, "Where is the source of all this?" That is, she wanted to know the cause of why all this suffering is there, why things get created, why we get deluded, why do not we see God? What is the cause of this delusion? And this is a question that is discussed in Vedanta and in various Upanishads and commentaries. And it has been going on even now. The question comes, why this delusion was created in the first place? There is no first place actually. You create something, the point that you start seeing, that is the first place. You do not know. You do not even know when the dream began. Nowadays they have identified certain wave patterns to be representations of dream state. That it is, sometimes I think it is called beta pattern, beta wave pattern. So it is when you are in dream, you in that instrument, you see that particular wave pattern. So, but the person doesn't know exactly when my dream began. It is because it is not that it began at a particular time in the waking state. The dream state time calculations and waking state time calculations are very different. We don't know when it began. And so this dream, called that word, this world, when did it begin? Who can tell? There is no beginning for it. You may think that so many billion years ago there was a big bang. But the point of caution that is mentioned there, the time itself begins then. There is no time in one without second reality. And the time and space, they are products of our our perception of multiplicity. What is space? Those who want to know more about that, you can read Swami Vivekananda's that chapter in Jnana Yoga, Absolute and Manifestation. That there you will see that because there is multiplicity, I get the understanding of space. The perception of space means between two objects. You see the multiplicity and how you determine this object and that object. there is space between them. So that is how we perceive space. When there are no objects, no multiplicity, there is no concept of space. Then the second, that whole discussion by Vivekananda is so powerful and so fundamental that, look, he says, and what is time? This is space. The time is because this multiplicity is not real. It keeps, therefore it changes. And the time is a measure of the change. If nothing changes, there is no time. Without change, there is no meaning to this word time. It is a measure, it is a distance, like the space is the distance between two objects. Time is the distance between two events. Now, if nothing is occurring, no change, there is no time. So, when, how, why we got deluded, all these questions have no meaning. Therefore, it is, answer is the cause of this delusion is ignorance. The delusion is ignorance. Where from it is caused? I don't know how can it be caused. That itself is ignorance, asking this question, that when did it begin, as if you take the time to be ever there. There is a time also has a beginning in your mind, and it is always relative to that. You consider things came, things went. So it is. So therefore it is ignorance has no beginning. It is, our Tyagananda told a very nice story. That story means just an example he gave. I like that. That he said that I don't know Japanese. If you ask me when did my ignorance of Japanese begin, yeah, it is a meaningless question. When the ignorance of Japanese that I have, when did it begin? Question is meaningless. But I can learn Japanese, and thus I can dispel this ignorance about Japanese. So, similarly, this ignorance, where from it came, don't ask this. There is no beginning to it. But by properly changing the pattern, your understanding of life, you can get over that ignorance and see the truth, see the Brahman. So the question, what is the way out then? The answer is, one must eradicate ignorance. One must eradicate ignorance. I can definitely assure you, and this is not assurance given by political leaders, this is the assurance given by scriptures, sages, and Swami Sadhana himself is standing with this assurance here. I can definitely assure you that delusion and ignorance can be removed. By one's own experience, Swami Sardananda is telling about this Leela Prasanga. There is an incident in his life that somebody asked me, Maharaj, tell me about your experiences. He said, read this Leela Prasanga. And I have not written anything there that I have not experienced. So this is all his experience. That yes, and therefore on the authority of his own experience he can tell, I can certainly assure you that the ignorance can go away. Please hold this assurance to your heart, friends. Yes, ignorance can be what? Say loudly. Ignorance can be removed. What is, have the conviction, this is the first step in spiritual practice. Have the conviction. yes, it can be removed. So then you will practice. Otherwise, whether it can be removed or not, probably not. So you will not do any spiritual practice in the absence of this conviction. This conviction is very important. So, before we, and then the question was, well, what is, before we learn, this is the question, before we learn the means, we want to ask a few more questions. You assert that what so many ordinary people see and experience is unreal, and that what only a few sages have experienced is real. Could it be that those a few sages, they were wrong and all we other majority of people are correct? We want, in this so-called democracy, we want to measure it like that let us see what majority thinks. In Austin, I was repeatedly telling this, that majority is never the test of truth. The truth, usually majority doesn't even accept truth. That is the nature of majority. My science teacher used to tell that, look, when we started studying science in first year of high school, that in science you have to test and find out the truth. Doesn't depend whether majority accepts it or not. That is not the criterion for the truth. Suppose all people say that salt doesn't dissolve in water. And then by the pressure of majority, the teacher has to give them full marks as a correct answer. Yes, salt doesn't, otherwise you will be removed from the job. It is, I was told, one that person, that why don't you do this practice? I will lose my job. It is, so if you do not say that, oh, so many people are saying that salt does not dissolve in water, so you have to give it as a right answer, correct answer, give all the marks for that. The question is, will that have an effect on the salt? If you put the salt in water, will the salt think that, no, so many people said that I don't dissolve in water? Will that have any effect on salt? It will not. So the test of truth doesn't depend on what many say. But here this point is brought in, that, and many have this question, how do you say that those sages were correct? And all we, these 8 billion other people are saying that's wrong? A good question. It is more likely that they were deluded and we are right. So, this is the Sadhanandaji answers that there is no rule that what most people believe is always true. We know that the sages' direct experiences are true because with the knowledge they gained, they became free from misery and attained complete fearlessness and eternal peace. So that is why what they, even if they are few, they have attained what is to be attained in human life by this understanding. So even if they are few, they are correct. And moreover, there is another way that you can see that although many people think that this world is real, everybody has a different idea of the world. It is not that all have the same world. We don't live in the same world. We live in different worlds, although we may be living, say, together long back. And this keeps on happening, that I asked one lady, hey, you didn't come, your husband didn't come, what happened? Where is he? What does he do? Oh, he lives in his own world. He lives in his own world. Means my world is different, his world is different. It is, we don't see two people, they have such different ideas about this world, the purpose of life, and so forth. So, just because the majority thinks that the world is real, that doesn't mean their perceptions are to be taken for real. A few people who go deep and analyze and thus come to the conclusion, they are, although few, they are the correct ones. Maharaj, I will take a few more minutes with your permission. It is, yeah. So then, it also makes a person's outlook amazingly Catholic. The Catholic means that all-inclusive. It is, that explanation is considered the best, which includes all other explanations. So that is the meaning of Catholic. It is not a particular sect of Christianity, that is what is mentioned here. And they get the name Catholic because they are supposed to be inclusive. While I was in Shillong, one Catholic priest had just invited, very nice man, and we had very good friendship. So, and then I had put some dishes there for him to eat. I asked, do you eat? Oh, I am Catholic, at least in the matter of food. So I can eat everything. So when it comes to food, at least I am Catholic. So Catholic means inclusive. So that thought or that explanation, which is inclusive of all the other explanations as special cases, contextual cases, that explanation is to be accepted as truth. So it is, another question is asked then, well, how is it that all of us experience the same delusion? It is, if it is delusion, the delusion should be different, isn't it? My delusion should have been different than your delusion. It is how then you call it delusion, then how all of us have the same delusion? What a question, isn't it? This is a criterion, how in exams, how they catch that some student is cheating, that the right answers are not really the criterion for that. If you see that this fellow has made this mistake and the other fellow has made the same mistake, then there was cheating. Because you won't go and make the same mistake. Correct things, both will write the same. But if it is mistake, there is a nice humorous story. A man was, copying everything, cheating the answers. It was an exam for a job, and so he copied everything. So the one who was the original writer got the job. This fellow didn't get, and he went to the management. Well, I thought that I have given all the answers right. They said, oh, you did the cheating very well, except you fumbled at one question. What happened? See, that fellow didn't know the answer, so he wrote, I don't know. And what you did? You wrote, I too don't know. So you got caught there. I too don't know. So how do we have the same delusion then? No, that's a question. So Swami Sardananda said that we are, first of all, it is not same. Secondly, that it is answer. You find here an exception to that rule because you are not including those few sages amongst the people. There is an exception. Why you say all people are deluded, they have same religion? No, there are sages who do not have that delusion. Moreover, if you do include them, you will see that the answer was given in response to your previous question. You ask how all people can be under the same delusion. The scriptures say in reply, the universe has arisen by the way of ideation in the limitless infinite cosmic mind. And so we all become subject to that. It is, everybody therefore sees more or less same thing, but not really. You can imagine, that we, as I mentioned, we live in different worlds. No two people live really in the same world. Our perceptions for the major things, yes, I will call this as a chair, and even Kirti Pradhananji will agree with me there that this is a chair. These minor matters we agree about, that yeah. But it is, imagine a mosquito. It will not think it as a chair, maybe as a big bed, maybe. So it is, so it is not that all have the same perception. The human brain is made on the same pattern, so we have similar physiology, similar mental attitude, and thus we have more or less the major perceptions are same. But there is still subtle and big differences, why it is, that they differ. Not too long ago, I met an autistic kid. I had been interacting with him for quite some time. So this wonderful young man, but is autistic, and he has very special perceptions. And certainly, he has different abilities. He can understand 26 languages. And has perceptions that we don't have. So it is, now these are very special cases. They are human beings, but they have different abilities that we don't have. In Chandi Path, or that's the Durga Saptashati, you read how all different creatures have their own knowledge, and through that they get addicted, they get attached. So you cannot really say that all have the same perceptions. They differ. So then the other question comes here. There are these two paths described, the path of not this, and path of this. It is a unique feature of this chapter that these two major disciplines of spiritual practice are described here, that how, generally speaking, this effort to know the truth, that transcends the world has developed along two main paths, the negative and the positive. The first is described by the scriptures as not this, neti, neti, the path of knowledge. The second is iti, iti, this, the path of devotion. The aspirant who follows the path of knowledge understands the ultimate goal from the very beginning. Remembering the goal, the aspirant consciously moves towards it every day. Followers of the path of devotion, however, are not fully aware of their ultimate goal. They move forward by adopting higher and higher ideals one after another. And this is a very important difference between these two paths of spiritual practice. In both paths, there is the transcendence involved, but in the path of knowledge, the aspirant already has a more or less clear idea of the ultimate goal, where all these forms will disappear, the time and space will disappear, the sense of ego will disappear, and then what is left, that is the reality. And so the aspirant makes the effort, as characterized in that beautiful hymn by Shankaracharya, Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. I am not this mind or intellect and ego, these things I am not. Then I am not the sensory or motor organs, na cha shrotra jivhe, na cha grana netre, na cha vyoma bhumir, na tejo na vayu, chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. It continues like that I have no parents, no siblings, I have no friends or foes, because I am the all-pervading reality, Sat Chidananda, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. The aspirant has this understanding from the beginning, and so the effort lies in conscientiously abstracting those things. It is a very difficult effort for most of us. Not that we shouldn't try, we can try, but it is so difficult because of our that holding on to the form. We feel that I am this form, and then so everything that we see also has a form. It requires getting disidentified from the body. So Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Avyaktahi gatir dukkham dehavat bhiravapyate. This path of not this, and following that which is not manifest, avyakta, for those who are identified with bodies, not just attached, identified with body. We get identified. Attachment is a very weak word. We are not attached to the body. We think that we are bodies. It is, see how different it is. You may be attached to your car, but you don't identify with the car. You don't say that I am Mercedes or I am Toyota. But with body, we feel that I am that. And so therefore, to transcend the names and forms, neti becomes very difficult for most of us, although we feel charmed by that. Oh, I am a non-dualist. I see that all forms are not real. do we really see it? That's the question. Just providing lip service, anybody can say that. But to feel that, one has to disidentify with body. And so this is this path, there is the other path. Iti. There we don't have this very beautiful analytical expression by Swami Sadhananda here, that we are not aware of the ultimate goal, but we proceed by accepting that yes, there is this divine, and if I purify myself, I will gradually get there. Let me shift my love to that. That instead of wasting my love on the unreal and fleeting things, let me love that which is real, that which is the divine principle in all after, and then gradually you start seeing it. It is, you do not know how. There was, in my childhood, there was a wonderful incident, which I still remember. With my dad, I had gone to a nearby village for having, one farmer has invited us for some farm produce party there. And so we both went, myself and my dad, and by the time we have our, it was just walking, about 2 miles walk one way. So we walked there, and then while returning, now it became all dark, and that footpath in between all the meadows was not visible. Said, how do we know how we are going? Where is, I don't see the path. And my dad told me, these paths are, as you walk, it starts becoming clearer and clearer to you. And that was the case. You don't see the whole path. You feel that, hey, is there the path actually there? I don't see. No, as you walk, you will start seeing it gradually. That was a great learning for me, friends, even in my spiritual life. That it is, can we say, no, until I know the full path, I will not move forward. Well, that is the path of neti. And for most of us, we, although that day I spoke about it, we call ourselves intellectuals, but hardly any one of us really worthy of that kind of adjective, that I am intellectual. Only thing one can say is that we do not have even intellect enough to know that we are not intellectuals. So let us at least develop that much intellect. We are mostly driven by our emotions. So it is, so we have to adopt that path of iti. So Swami Sadhananda says that we have described the path of devotion as the path iti. Although the devotee experiences the impermanence of the world, that is there, that even the devotee experiences the impermanence of the world. He or she believes in God. And now there comes the believer aspect. In Upanishads you find both these things described. That yes, there is this divine principle. In Taittiriya Upanishad you read that a disciple goes to a teacher who happens to be his father. Bhrugurvai varuni varunam pitaram upasasara adhihi bhagavo brahmeti. That it is, please tell me about Brahman. Then Varuna, the father, started telling, and that is called tatastha lakshan. In philosophy, you have the two ways of understanding Brahman. One is called a Brahman as it is, Swarupa Lakshana. And then there is that you are describing it as you understand it. So it is therefore having the understanding of the river from the bank rather than getting into the river. So I don't want to go into the details, very interesting discussion. What is the this kind of science of Brahman and the actual science. So he describes, you see the world coming up. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayante abhisamvishanti tad brahma tad vijijñasasva, from which this whole universe is rising. That we see, that all these different forms are rising. From what are they rising? In what they have their stability, and in what they dissolve, they go back. That is Brahman, and that is Tad Vijijñasasva. That is what one should realize. So this is what you generate the belief in that, like this, that since this is there should be somebody who created it. We don't believe that things happen accidentally. Many scientists, they say that all these things came about accidentally. It is by chance it has all come about. Actually, a common person would say, I don't know. But since you are scientists, you have to use some special words, that's all. Isn't it the same meaning, it happened by chance? Means in plain words, I don't know how it happened. But you put it like that, as if it appears as if it is a scientific, it happened by chance. I don't know, that is the simple expression, that meaning of it happened by chance. So how it happened, we do not accept really. If I tell you, how this beautiful temple came up, how this building came up, and if somebody tells, it came about by chance. It is not that somebody was the architects, engineer, the workers, they build it conscientiously as per the plan. So we don't believe actually that things come about without a creator. There is the belief in creator is very constitutional for us. So therefore, who made this world, who preserves it, and who removes everything again? That is God or Brahman. So this is another path called iti. You believe it and then proceed on that line. So it is, then these questions, we can understand one thing from what has been said so far. A spiritual aspirant who has been graced with the vision of those living divine forms feels. We see different divine forms and people feel that, so I am spiritual. I see all these different forms. Is it being spiritual? Is it spiritual practice? Yes and no again, because it is the inner content of it. It is, let us remove this idea, that is what Swami Sadhananda is driving at. I have taken too much time, friends. I will conclude. I assure you I will conclude in a couple of minutes. So it is that the idea that these visions, so I must be very spiritual. Not necessary at all. If it brings about that change in life, how to decide that whether it is really spiritual or not. I quoted a nice this thing in Chetananandji had given a beautiful retreat in Providence on measuring the spiritual progress. And he said this, I got the idea of this title by looking at a TV ad that they were showing, some exercise instrument. This is before and after. That before it is shown a very, this fat fellow, then there is that exercise equipment in between, and then after, what it is? A slim figure. So before and after. So before spiritual practice and after spiritual practice. Is there a photograph of the two? No, we don't have an external picture of it. But internally, yes. Is that person feeling more peace, more love? Has all those torments that we have experienced in life, like anger, we get agitated, we experience lust, anger, lust, covetousness, jealousy, are they reduced? Then there is meaning to this word spiritual progress. So one must strive in that direction. That is the kernel of spiritual practice. If I get agitated and frustrated every now and then it doesn't matter even if I am doing 2 hours of meditation and then and all that. Does it reduce the that frustration, agitation, anger in you? Then it is spiritual practice. Otherwise not. So friends, thank you very much for letting me express some of these thoughts in your presence. And many thanks Kirti Pradhanandaji for enabling this. As I mentioned earlier, the original plan was just to stop here for Friday night and then go to Austin. I didn't want to really trouble you people, but then if you want to blame him, not me. So it is a pleasure to meet you and to speak all these wonderful, nobilizing ideas. Jai Sri Ramakrishna.